the plan is that I will introduce our master's program in educational technology. I prepared a few slides, and together with Pirio, and then we can open the floor if you have questions, anything that you would like to know about the master's program, courses, curriculum, and the rest of that.
And just to say that, yes, Emanuele is the program director, and I am an alumni of the very same master's program. So if you have any practical questions, then I can always answer these from a former student side.
Very good. Okay, but I think that we can start here. Let me reorganize my windows. So as Pirio was saying, my name is Emanuele Bardone, and I'm the program director of this master's program in educational technology. I've been a program director since 2018, so it's been already how many years? It was actually August 2018, so roughly five years and something. As Pirio was saying, yes, she was in 2022 our master students, but now she's actually a junior researcher and also a lecturer, one of the lecturers in our master's program. So she's in a quite unique position because she has this double background somehow, so she can talk about her experience as a student as well as a lecturer, a teaching staff member, as we say. So let me start sharing now my screen. I prepared, as I told you, a few slides. So the general title is Studying at Tech at the University of Tartu, because this is basically what this is all about. I start from, let's see if I can. Okay, so this is, we were talking about teaching staff members. These are basically all the people who in one way or the other will be involved in this master's program. Some of them, as you can see from the flag, are Estonians. Others are not. So we have, for example, Leo Seaman, who was born, I think, in Canada, but he lived then in the US for most of his life, and then at some point he moved to Estonia, where he actually got married, and he's been with us for more than 10 years. And then we have Natalia, Eric, and myself. We're not from Estonia. Natalia is from Georgia, I'm from Italy, and Eric is from Mexico. So we can say that we cover a few continents, and yes, and our background is pretty much international. Pirio is Estonian, but at this very moment she's not in Estonia. She's in Scotland, in Edinburgh, where she's been living for like the past 10 years. She, I don't know, should I say temporarily moved to Estonia or what?
I don't know. Let's leave that open for now.
Okay, so she's still she's a junior researcher, as I said before. So she's actually living in Tartu, but very often she goes back to Scotland, where part of her life is still there. Yes. So when it comes to the educational master's program, it's a one-year master's program. To be more precise, is 10 months long. So we start in mid-August with what we call the on-site session. So the on-site session is essentially an intense period of study where we are together for about, it used to be 2 weeks, but then after COVID, we decided to shorten it. So, for example, in 2023, it was 10 days. Most likely it will be the same also this year. But essentially, it's the on-site session. It's what we call the August session. It's a moment in which we get all together, so we meet physically, and we spend roughly 10 days together, as I said. Sometimes there is weekend, so it's not actually 10 days of 10 working days. It's a little bit less, and it's a very important moment for the master's program, because we have some courses running. some courses that actually have more practical workshops. But it's also the moment when we basically start building the community, which is, as I will say in a few minutes, one of the pillars of our master's program. After this on-site session, which usually starts in mid-August, so in 2023 it was from the 14th of August until the 24th, so it was actually 11 days, not 10 days. This year it might be around the same period. Perhaps we'll be starting a little bit earlier because there is also a conference here in Tartu. But roughly it will start around mid-August. After this, the first semester will officially start. Usually it's basically the first Monday, which sometimes is the 30th or the very last days of August. In some other cases, it's very early September. With September, basically all the courses will be online from September onwards. The online part of the master's program will start. Most of the courses will be taught during the first semester, and then in the second semester, which usually starts in February, there will be the second semester, which in most of cases, which is usually dedicated to a few more online courses, very few, plus the thesis. And then in June, there will be the master defense, usually in the second week of June. This year, the defense is scheduled for the 11th and 12th of June. And basically, this is it. This basically, the defense completes, and then graduation after a week completes the master's program. So we say that it's a one-year master's program, but actually it's 10 months long. Very briefly, for whom this course is designed. Next year, it will be the 8th year or 7th year. It will be the 8th cohort of students. And over the past years, we saw that essentially there are 3 reasons why you may want to join this master's program. So the first reason is pretty straightforward. You can be a teacher, a lecturer, a coach, a trainer, an educator, a person interested in education who want to transform your own practice, your own educational practice, with the help of what we call EdTech, educational technology, digital technology, essentially. Throughout the years, in most of our students, we saw that most of the students were essentially teachers, either school teachers or university teachers. But we also had other people, trainers, coaches. We also had 2 EdTech company founders, so people who are actually entrepreneurs. And one year, we also had a parent who was at the time homeschooling their daughter. And interestingly enough, they also wrote a thesis about this. So this is basically one way to put it. But you could also be or develop the skills and the competencies that one may want to have in order to help other people's EdTech skills. In Estonia, there is this role which is the educational technologist. So very often in Estonian schools, there is a person who is hired as an educational technologist. Sometimes this person has a teaching background, some other doesn't. But interestingly enough, this is a role in the school or university who is supposed to basically help other people. And we got in the past educational technologists or people who later started working as educational technologists. And as I said, in this case, they are not developing their own teaching practice, but they are actually learning how to help other people, which is quite interesting. And then the third category of people is composed of those who are interested in pursuing an academic career. So, for example, Pirio, she started our master's program. After 10 months, she successfully graduated, which means that it's possible to work and to study at the same time. And then she started a PhD, and she started working in our Center for Educational Technology as a junior researcher. So essentially, you might be a teacher or an educational practitioner interested in developing your own EdTech competence or competences. You might be somebody who would like to help other people or your organization develop this EdTech capacity, or you may want to be, or you might be the first, the second, but also the third. In other words, a person interested in doing a PhD. Here at the University of Tartu, we actually have a PhD program in educational research or educational sciences, not in educational technology, but it's still possible to become a PhD student in the area of EdTech, although, as I said, the program is not focusing specifically on educational technology. Pirio, whenever you want to chip in and say something or correct me, please do it. Okay, then, a little bit more, before I show you the curriculum, the updated version of the curriculum, a very few words about the general philosophy behind this master's program. So ideally, and this is really like a hope, an aspiration, is to create, along with students as well as alumni, a convivial blended space. So what does that mean? Essentially, it means that the first thing that we try to build and to create is a space or a community, we can also put it this way, which is clearly going beyond geographical barriers. And that's why the master's program is almost fully online. Not because we like Zoom. I actually like Zoom, but that's not the main reason why we want to be online. We want to be online because in this way we can be together in spite of the fact that we're not living in the same country. So blended, in this case, means when what most of people understand about this word, it means that we combine online with on-site. Then the second aspect is that when it comes to EdTech, what is it that we help our students with? Essentially, we help them navigate all the uncertainties that are related to the fact that technology helps us reorganize the learning and teaching practice. And sometimes this is not obvious. It's not obvious how digital technology can help us do that. And that's why I mentioned the word uncertainty, which probably, especially with AI, is becoming more and more important. Because in spite of the fact that, for example, AI seems to be offering great opportunities, we don't have to forget that it's not so obvious that when we start using a piece of technology, everything will be working out of the box. And that's why the master's program doesn't just offer a training space, but it's also a space for educating oneself. Which means that, of course, as I said before, I use this term, navigating the uncertainties of technology use, because that's exactly what we try to do together. Then, another aspect is that this space of this community offers this flexibility. And by that, we mean that because of the format, which is on-site, which is almost fully online, and because of the fact that most of our students are actually working educators, then we really try to offer this flexible space, so that in case you will come to the master's program, you will see that probably your experience will be perhaps dramatically different from other experiences in higher education, especially if you have obtained your degree, let's say, more than 5 years ago. That's because this master's program is not based upon lectures, but it's built around conversations that can happen over Zoom, but also on the learning management system that we use. And this is what provides flexibility. Then another important aspect is that, again, because of the format, we're not going to be together. We're not going to meet up every once in a while. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to be present to each other. We're going to be experience presence in very different ways. We will be together and present to one another in the same physical space in August, but after that we will experiment with other forms, over Zoom, over Teams, which is one of the platforms that we're going to use. And this is also obviously related to the flexibility, to this flexible format that I've just mentioned. And then the last point, which is probably the most practical one, and the one you might be very much interested in, we try really to have a community in which the participants or the members of the community can really try to combine, let's say, theory and practice, study and work. So, as I said, in most of cases, our students are practitioners, in-service teachers, people who have a job, okay? And since we know that it's very hard to work and at the same time study, virtually all the courses have assignments and tasks that are tied to the teaching practice, the teaching/learning practice. Which means that this master program can actually be a platform for you for professional development, for example. So this is another way to interpret the blend. So this master's program is blended because we have an on-site component and an online component, but also because we try to combine work and study, or if you prefer, theory and practice, which is also reflected in the curriculum. And this is basically like the last slide that I'm going to show to you. So this is basically the names of the courses. This master's program is a 60-credit program, 60 as they're called ECTS. So this is a European credit system. The numbers that you see are the credits awarded by each and every course. The curriculum, basically, as you can see here, there are some courses that are mandatory and that they are more focusing on, let's say, the pedagogy. Whereas there are other courses that are more practical and focusing more on digital technology. I can briefly go through the list. So you can see here that there are 4 mandatory courses, which are all in one pot. These are Introduction to New Learning Paradigm, Collaborative Learning, Problem Solving, or Problem-Solving Based Learning, and then Self-Regulation. So these are the mandatory courses. Then in this specific module, there are additional courses that you can take. These are called elective courses. And you will be asked to pick one course among Estonian for Beginner in case you want to learn something about the Estonian language, Building Communities of Practice, and Introduction to Futures Thinking. Then we move to the next module, which is more practical and more technology-oriented. There we have 2 mandatory courses. One is Transformative Technology Use in Education, which is the longest course. It awards 6 credit points. And then Digital Literacy. Within this module, there will be 2 electives, so 2 courses you can choose from. One is called Educational Design for Complex Learning Tasks, and the other one is Artificial Intelligence and Education. And then the last module is a module dedicated to reflecting on technology, and in this case you will be asked to choose one course from Critical Issues of Technology Used in Education and Tinkering with Educational Technology. Then there will be a thesis, as you can see here, 60 credit points. And to support the thesis, there will be a course on research methods in educational technology. The curriculum is completed then by one optional course. Optional course means that it can be any course. And this is 3 credit points, 3 credit point course. So this is basically the curriculum. You also see here the division between first semester and second semester. Most of courses are running during the first semester, so on the orange block. And that's because in the second part of the master's program, the thesis will become more and more prominent. When we talk about the thesis, we are talking about something that can be described also some kind of paper, because we're not talking about like 100 pages, something like 100 pages long, but we're talking about something much shorter, in between 25 and 30 pages, and this is usually a small scale study that you conduct. Often students find the problem themselves, the problem to address, or the problem to investigate, the topic to investigate, and what we do is try to encourage them to connect the thesis work with their own professional development, so that it's a little bit easier to, as I said before, to combine what you are learning in the master's program with what you do normally at work. Obviously, you might also have the chance not to work, and so you might be just a student. That's fair enough. It's not a problem. Something will change, but that will be anyway okay. I think that, okay, here I have some quotes from previous students, including Pirio. In most of cases, they stressed this community aspect, which obviously you cannot see now because you haven't started yet. But one very important thing is that it's not just about the courses, it's not just about the thesis, it's not just about what you will be hearing from the teaching staff members, but also what you will be learning from your colleagues, from other students, and what you're going to teach also to the other colleagues as well as the teaching staff members, because it's really, I mean, this master's program, and after 7 years I can say this, it's community based. Community in a sense that the community, the bonds among the participants is are one of the most important part, one of the most important enablers for learning to happen. The last quote is actually from a student from our first cohort. So when the master was still in this sort of beta version, so to say, but it's still relevant because this is exactly, I mean, what this master is all about: how to combine study and work. And also, you will be learning about educational technology by learning how to use educational technology, or by using educational technology in your own learning practice, which is a very big plus, to be able then to empathize with your own students in case you're teaching. And then this is the last slide. This is our presence on social media. So we have an Instagram account which we try to keep updated. It's called Educational Technology UT. Then we also have here a YouTube channel called Educational Technology at the University of Tartu. We have something like 20 videos made by our former students, where basically they are describing their own experience in this master's program. So if you want to hear something from the horse mouth, go to this channel, YouTube channel. And then we also have on Facebook, we have Tartu EdTech Community, which basically gathers all the past and current students. We have not been very active, I must say, in this Facebook group, unfortunately, but it's something that you can, it's a resource that you can tap into, especially to get in touch with the former students. And then we also have a Facebook page of our master's program called Educational Technology at the University of Tartu, where we usually post, where once in a while we post some of the things that we do. So this is basically it. I can actually stop sharing. Screen sharing has stopped as the shared window is closed. Yes, thank you very much. If there are any question, we are here. I don't know how much time we have, but I think certainly we have a bit of time. Yeah, there is a question about the scholarship. So, Piero, would you, first of all, Piero, would you like to add anything, or shall we jump into?
So, yes, I wanted to add a few things while you were doing your presentation, but as you know, I'm not very good at interrupting you, so I patiently awaited until you finished. You're most welcome. So I will start from one of the last things that you discussed, which is the community aspect of the course. So this is, as Emanuele said, this is mainly an online program, apart from the first 2 weeks where learning and teaching happens on site. So one, I think a positive outcome of the August session is that you will get to meet other students who you will later be working on together online. And this is also the opportunity then for you to establish connections with your peers, because you can imagine that 10 months online can be quite lonely, isolating. So you think this August session for creating links with your peers, so should you decide to join this program, this is something that I suggest you do, because having done this program myself as well, I had very good peer relations with some of my mates, some of my course mates, and this definitely improved the experience for me to have somebody to share my uncertainties, my concerns, but also, of course, my achievements. So yes, so do establish connections with your peers to have this sense of community while you're learning on your own online. And
and as you were saying, it's online. I mean, it's almost fully online, but we have webinars. Usually we have roughly, especially in the first semester, we have 2, maximum 3 webinars per week. So, and each webinar lasts for about 90 minutes. So in terms of workload, it's not that much actually, but this will also allows you to have the feeling that you are actually doing something with other people. It's not just, you're sent some materials and there is an online environment where you just interact with buttons and images or videos. That's not what we do. We indeed have a platform. Actually, truth be told, we use 2 platforms, which are Moodle and Teams, but it's very much based on social presence. Online social presence, obviously.
So here you read my mind, because this was going to be my next point, that yes, it's not just you learning on your own, but there are, like Emanuele said, there are different ways of being together, and one of them is definitely webinars, which is where you where you come together synchronously with your peers to discuss, to discuss, to learn from each other. But then there's also Teams, which is the main, I think I'm not wrong in saying that this is the main platform that is used for most of the courses. And Teams offers an excellent opportunity to have conversations also between webinars asynchronously. So at least when I was doing my master's 2 years ago, then I always had this feeling that there are people that I can connect with, that there is a peer group, there is the course, there are the course mates who I can always talk to, not synchronously, of course, but asynchronously. So we had quite intense conversations asynchronously on Teams. So yes, there's the synchronous webinar option, and then there's the asynchronous Teams discussion option, which, well, again, I suggest that you take most out of both of these.
There was a question about webinars. So a webinar is, as Peter was saying, a synchronous event. Not quite like this one. I mean, we will be using Zoom, but we will all we will all be present with their audio and video. And usually these are conducted later afternoon Estonian time, so after 5 o'clock. But usually we also check our students' time zones, because obviously we get students from all over the world. We had people from Japan and from Canada, and they are basically, I mean, two extremes. So we try to make sure that everyone can actually participate in the webinars. In case there are issues, and this is something that I didn't say during my introduction, all the recordings are in any case recorded. So if you cannot attend the webinar, you can always check the recording, and all the recordings will be shared on our platform among the students, obviously. We don't post our webinars to YouTube. So in any case, there is this flexibility that I mentioned. There is a flexibility to choose how to be engaged, as Peter was saying. The webinars are one of the pillars, but not the only pillar, okay? As I said at the very beginning, we're not quite lecturing. If you're familiar with this term, we use a lot of flipped classroom, which means that there is always something to do in preparation for a webinar, and the webinar is mostly, is basically discussion based. So it's not that there is me lecturing for 45 minutes, 1 hour. There will be something to do in preparation. That could be reading something, watching a video, or do some tasks with the other colleagues, with the other students. And the webinar is the moment in which we get together and we discuss. So it's conversation based and based on dialogue. Obviously, if you cannot attend the webinars, I mean, attendance is not mandatory, but the webinars are recorded. So you will always, anyway, you will always have the chance to catch up. And this is also something very, very, very precious, especially if you have a full-time job. And as I said, 95% of our students were or still are full-time workers. I mean, they have a full-time job. Pirio used to work as
adult education
tutor in Edinburgh. So
yes, I had a full-time job, and then on top of that, I did the master's. But it was, since there are, like Emanuele said earlier as well, there are maybe 2-3 webinars a week from September to, let's say, November, and in December already, I think most of the courses are finished. So the weekly synchronous workload is not very big. So in that sense, I would say that it is completely manageable. Of course, it does add something extra to your existing responsibilities, but it is, firstly, it is doable. And secondly, and again, as Emanuele said, so attendance is not mandatory. Participating in webinars, of course, this is something that I suggest you do, because this is the opportunity for you to synchronously discuss what you have been doing in preparation of the webinars. But any kind of participation, watching the recordings or participating asynchronously in Teams discussions, each form of participation is equally beneficial for you and contributes to your learning. So even if you can't participate in webinars, there are still different ways of being part of contributing and receiving.
There was thank you, Piero. There was a question about professors or lecturers' interests, or teaching staff members' interests, research interests. So we actually have a Google Doc, which was lastly updated in June 2023. I will post it to our chat. So this is a document that contains thesis previously supervised, title, as well as the professor's research interest. As I wrote, you don't have to write your thesis in any of those topics if you don't see any point of doing that, and that's okay. You can come to us with your own topic, develop your own topic. We may actually even get inspired by your own contribution. Obviously, if you see that there is something interesting in what we do, then of course it becomes it's something obviously very nice, but it's not a must. And there are no penalties if you don't think that there is that your favorite topic does not align with any of the professor's topics. For example, would you like to mention your example, Piero?
Well, yes, this is what I plan to do as well. So I did my research. Well, I joined my thesis with the work that I was doing at Edinburgh City Council. And this was one of the topics. Well, yeah, this was a topic that I came up with. It was not in any of the lecturers' research interest list, but I wanted my research to be relevant to myself and also to the organization where I worked. So what I did, I developed a future vision of how to continue using technology in language learning classroom, because during COVID, everything moved in Edinburgh City Council, everything moved online. And then together with my colleagues, I developed, as part of my research, a vision of how to continue incorporating technology into language learning classrooms once we moved back from online to the classroom setting. So this was something that, well, yeah, it was relevant for me professionally. So this is why I suggested to Emanuele, who was my then and also now supervisor, that I would like to do something around my organization. So if you feel that you could somehow, with your research, be beneficial to your organization, your school, wherever you work, then definitely use this opportunity, because then I think you will feel more driven as well to do this research as well as it can.
Yeah, and one thing that I may add here is that especially when you apply, don't be too worried about this. I mean, what usually happens is that once you start the master's program, you will have some new ideas. Those ideas may actually be developed with some other students as well as with us. When you submit your application, of course, it's very good if you let us know what you're interested in. and what your plans are, even when those plans can, and I'm sure will, change anyway. So in this regard, we're very much happy. We're very much open and happy if you change your ideas. Usually, what happens is that when people come here in August after these 10 days, they have so many ideas, and they say, "Oh, I have too many ideas. I don't know what to do now because I have so many." So many little things I would like to try to pull off during the master's program, and then from September onwards we start restricting or narrow those ideas down, so that eventually there is one one that will be pursued for the thesis.
Yeah, I can say that when I applied, and the project or the idea that I presented as part of my application, it changed as soon as the master's program started, because since I did not know what was in store, of course I had some kind of an idea, but seeing the wider world of educational technology, then, well, things just change, and this is perfectly normal.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't know, Peter, if you want to reveal a secret. Do you want to reveal the secret?
Depends on what kind of
the secret. So Pirio, I mean, it's not a secret, obviously, but Pirio, when applied, I mean, she applied, but she also applied for another master's program. We don't have to say where it was, what university, and so she was part of this cohort of students during COVID. So the whole master's program was online. Even the on-site session was turned into an online session because we couldn't meet. It was too risky. So the master's program started early August. So it started like 10 days earlier than usual. And Piero joined our master's program early August 2021. But she knew that she would drop after like a few weeks, because the other master's program was supposed to start early September or
in Edinburgh University, the academic year usually starts mid-September. So I had planned that I will do 4, 5, 6 weeks at Tartu University, just to kind of fill in my time and then start the real thing in Edinburgh University. But it never happened, because as soon as I started, I knew that, well, not as soon, but to my family and friends, it was clear that I had found something that really was driving me. But yeah, so eventually I continued, I graduated, and I'm still there on a different capacity, in a different role, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that you're going to do the same, but this is to say that, sometimes we have certain plans and then they are completely, they are changed because you meet people, you have encounters, and then, yes, you may actually decide to move back to Estonia. I mean, not in most of your cases, it's not. Anyway, yes. I feel a little bit like a radio broadcaster, because I can't hear you. I can only read your questions. We can stay here for, I mean, as long as you want. But I think that if there are no additional questions, we can actually wrap up here. The whole session has been recorded, so in case you have missed something, you can go back to it. Pirio, anything to add before we wrap up, or?
No, I think you have given a very thorough overview of the program. So unless there are any specific questions from our participants at this webinar that I, as a former student, could answer, then yeah, I don't really have anything else to add.
Yeah, in any case, you can write to me or to Pirio anytime about anything that you would like to know about the master's program. We may still have sometime in February another more informal event in case you want to ask more questions or know more about the curriculum, the program, and everything. And this is.
So I put my email address in the chat. So if you want to ask me something, then feel free to get in touch. Yeah.
Yes, and there is also a question from Nele. Is it possible to arrange? Okay, I should answer live, but I don't know what happens. Okay, the question is it possible to arrange an individual Zoom with me, with you, Emanuele, to find out this to find out if this program is actually for me? Yes, indeed, Nele. I actually had a meeting, I think, last week with the person who is not among us now. So absolutely, I can give you. So this is Pirio's address, and my address is my surname @ut.ee. You can just drop me an email, and then we can Zoom. I answer online.
And Nela, if you feel that there's anything that you would like to ask me, then we can be there in this meeting together with Emanuela, because we share office anyway.
Yeah,
so
usually she's sitting.
I can just
there.
move table, because I can maybe answer some of your questions from students' point of view, whereas Emanuela can give the lecturer side. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah. I mean, you can ask me anything. Really, but I understand that, I mean, you might feel a little bit uncomfortable due to my former position. Okay, so answer live, answered. All right. Anything else? Done. Of course, if you need to arrange a meeting, we're gonna use the usual Zoom. So it's not that you're going to type your questions. Okay, but I think that this is done. No, there is. Thank you. This was very helpful, Susan. I think that you wrote to me. Susan, thank you for coming. Okay, answer live. So okay, thank you very much. I hope to see you in March. Sorry, not in March, in April. So mid-March is the deadline for the submission of the application, and then the admission interviews will take place early April. So by the end of April, we will already be able to give you an answer about your participation in this master's program. Thank you, Pirio, for being again with me. It would have been an awkward experience to speak to the camera. Okay, have a great day too. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
And bye from me as well.
Bye-bye.
Have a lovely day.